Hello everyone, welcome to this month's Middle School Ag Club virtual experience. My name is Lauren Broad.
And my name is Emily Crane.
And today we're going to talk about osmosis and using the scientific method in our science experiments.
Osmosis is the process that our cells undergo to stay hydrated. When there's more water outside the cell and more particles like salt or sugar inside the cell, water travels into the cell. Similarly, if there is more water inside the cell and more particles outside the cell, water leaves the cell.
When water needs to move inside the cell, this is called a hypotonic solution. When water needs to leave the cell, this is called a hypertonic solution. If there's an even amount of water and particles inside and outside the cell, this is called an isotonic solution, and water moves equally back and forth. To demonstrate these principles of osmosis, we are going to perform an experiment placing eggs into different solutions to create hyper, hypo, and isotonic environments.
Now that we've got our hypotheses written down, it's time to experiment.
To begin our experiment, start by collecting 3 cups of a large enough size to hold an egg. Label each of these cups with hypo, iso, and hyper so you don't get confused on which cup belongs to which egg. Now that we have our cups all set up, place 3 eggs, 1 in each cup. White vinegar has special properties that dissolve the hard outer shell of the egg. We want the eggshell to dissolve because this will allow water and particles to move freely in and out of the egg. We're going to keep these eggs in the fridge for the next 72 hours, so hold them overnight 3 nights. After 72 hours have passed, the eggshells should be completely dissolved and the egg should have a rubbery texture. Drain each glass of the vinegar inside. Our next step is to place our eggs in different solutions. For our hypotonic solution, fill the glass completely with water. We're using distilled water, and while this is recommended, it's not entirely necessary. Make sure the entire egg is being covered. For our hypertonic egg, we will be covering it completely with light corn syrup. And finally, for our isotonic solution, mix a splash of corn syrup with enough water to cover the egg. Make sure your solution is completely mixed together and all the corn syrup has dissolved. Now that we have this final part of the experiment set up, let your 3 eggs sit for the next 24 hours. At this point, about 4 days have passed since we began our experiment and wrote down our hypotheses. Take a close look at each egg and write down your observations to show your results. Make note of things like how much they weigh, what their texture is like, and what their size and shape are. Now, compare your observations with your original hypothesis. Were your predictions correct? If not, that's okay. Science is all about trial and error. What's important is that we learn something new.
Thank you guys so much for joining us as we learned about osmosis and went through the different steps of the scientific method. We hope you guys had fun and can't wait to see you tuning in again next month where we'll learn about plant anatomy.